If you have ever caught yourself zoning out when the flight attendant is giving the security rundown before takeoff, or maybe you suddenly become very self aware while watching a movie at the cinema about not having paid attention to where the emergency exits are in case of a fire, a medical emergency, or other type of incidents, then you are very well aware about the things you should notice and make mental notes about. What does it mean to be situationally aware and prepared? Let's look at it in today's episode. Our bodies are better at evaluating threats than we are at noticing the warning signs many times. By understanding our body's physical reactions that are triggered in different scenarios or by certain people, we can learn a lot about our lived experiences and how they have impacted us. If we are able to both see the signs and understand them, we can also learn to direct the attention of our threat detection system by also applying a layer of logic, reasoning, and best practice. The ability to perceive specific things can be improved by practice. It is already active in us, but without guidance. This can easily be observed whenever we buy a new car. Suddenly, we see the same model in traffic constantly. We have directed our perception to pick it out in our busy conscience and alert us to see it. Similarly, when we associate something to unpleasant feelings, anything that reminds us of it triggers the system. There are many things that we are taught to do to stay safe. Other things are coded in our DNA and thus works subconsciously. As modern society has interrupted the initial order of natural selection, it has actually just changed the criteria in modern life and poorly adapted physical signals to match modern problems. We have a harder time feeling comfortable being under influence of these strong feelings. It might also lead to chronic fatigue as they do not always turn off. Over 88% of aviation accidents involving human error have been attributed to problems with situation awareness, according to a study referenced in an article published in 1997 about designing to aid decision through situation awareness enhancement. An investigation was conducted of a system for directly presenting needed situation awareness to fighter pilots. The pilots were provided with information for replanning around pop-up threats rather than a system which provided a recommended route. Relating situation awareness levels with that of confidence showed that the worst outcome would come from having low situation awareness but high confidence level, as this could lead others to assume that the confidence is well grounded and will not result in bold and incorrect actions. By supplying the operator with situation awareness enhancing information, the performance can be enhanced and support dynamic decision making in complex and changing environments. In addition to not slowing down decision making or result in system induced decision biases. Another paper published in 1995 presents a theoretical model of situation awareness based on its role in dynamic human decision making in a variety of domains. It claims that situation awareness involves far more than merely being aware of numerous pieces of data. It also requires a much more advanced level of situation understanding and a projection of future system states in light of the operator's pertinent goals. Situation awareness presents a level of focus that goes beyond traditional information processing approaches in attempting to explain human behavior in operating complex systems. Apart from professional use of situational awareness, many other everyday activities call for a dynamic update of the situation to function effectively. Walking, driving in heavy traffic, or operating heavy machinery are used as examples. Experts studied in referenced research used pattern matching mechanisms to draw on long-term memory structures that allow them to quickly understand a given situation. They then adopted the course of action corresponding to that type of situation. Different individuals vary in their ability to acquire situation awareness given the same data input. This is a function of an individual's information processing mechanisms influenced by innate abilities, experience, and training. The individual may also possess certain preconceptions and objectives that can act to filter and interpret the environment informing situation awareness. There are numerous definitions of situation awareness that, for the most part, point to knowing what is going on. One model is divided in levels of situation awareness. Level 1, perceptions of the elements in the environment. Level 2, comprehension of the current situation, using level 1 elements to form patterns and form a holistic picture of the environment. And level 3, projection of future status, achieved through knowledge of the status and dynamics of the elements and comprehension of the situation. The different elements that the operator needs to perceive and understand depends on the field that is being applied on currently. Other aspects are temporal, time, spatial, space, or functional relationships of elements to goals. The combination of the mechanisms of short-term sensory memory, perception, working memory, and long-term memory form the basic structures on which situation awareness is based. Human properties affecting and underlying situation awareness are pre-attentive processing. Attention, direct attention is needed for not only perceiving and processing the cues attended to, but also the later stages of decision making and response execution. Perception, working memory, long-term memory or schemata, development, default information. Other aspects of situation awareness include confidence level, automaticity, and goals. Different domains need different parameters for the operators. This makes it very important to measure operator situation awareness for better designs of systems and interfaces. Measuring is also useful for evaluating the effect of training techniques. Another study made by the same author but published in the year 2000 illustrates the complexity of working with a lot of data and trying to find the bits that are needed and process them together with the other bits to arrive at the actual information that is required for the decision. Another study from 1995 describes situation awareness as adaptive, externally directed consciousness. The construct called risk space is introduced, representing the invariant relations in the environment that enable the agent or the operator to adapt to novel situations and to attain pre-specified goals. This risk space may be generalized to many different means of navigation. A study from 2006, published in Applied Ergonomics, examines assessment of situations awareness in C4I, command, control, communication, computers, and intelligence environments. C4I systems are comprised of both human and technological agents and are designed to gather information and facilitate the accurate communication of this information between multiple agents dispersed across multiple locations. The goal is to provide more appropriate information more quickly and in the correct format to the relevant agents. To assess operator situation awareness, the study argues that traditional models such as Sagat and SART are not designed to measure situation awareness in C4I environments. Other measurement models named are Sherpa and NASA TLX. Freeze probe techniques, real-time probe techniques, self-rating techniques, observer rating techniques, performance measures, and process indices are other techniques available for evaluation of situation awareness. The reviewed techniques focus on individual situation awareness. One of the more prominent authors on the subject wrote a special issue about misconceptions in 2015, answering criticism about the Endsley model and commenting on new models such as situated situation awareness, distributed situation awareness, and sense making. One key point being the different levels of situation awareness being ascending levels and not necessarily linear, meaning that a person who understands the current situation has a better situation awareness than one who can read the data on a screen but does not know what it means. Similarly, a person who can project the likely future events and states of the system and environment has better situation awareness than one who cannot. As an example, a fighter pilot usually gets limited information about other aircrafts. They must operate on default information, as in this might be a MiG-29 and likely travel at a certain approximate speed. When more details are available, their situation awareness becomes more accurate, but they are still able to make reasonable decisions without perfect information. They use level 2 and 3 situation awareness to generate assumptions regarding level 1 representations. In this way, people can have level 2 and 3 situation awareness even when they do not have complete or accurate level 1 situation awareness. The higher levels of situation awareness can be used to drive the search for and acquisition of level 1 situation awareness. A study of situation awareness in anesthesia uses Endsley's definition of situation awareness, it being the perception of elements of the environment within a volume of time and space, the comprehension of their meaning, and the projection of their status in the near future. Some key results are that individual situation awareness is broken down to 3 levels. Level 1, perception of current states, collect relevant information by different means, acquire complementary information. Level 2, comprehension and understanding of the level 1 variables, integrate level 1 knowledge with long-term memory about the topic, guidelines, mental models, and procedures. It is more than perceiving data. It is integrating those data to understand what they mean and what is pertinent for the current situation. Level 3. Project the expected future development of the status, which is crucial for early and proactive management of resources to meet the goals. The ability to actively direct the attention toward the main sources of information and to correctly understand and interpret the information at hand, enabling anticipation of future development, plays a crucial role in handling critical incidents effectively. Situation awareness is considered indispensable for subsequent decision making, teamwork, and task management. There are several ways of practicing and train the relevant skills for the development of situation awareness. Classroom-based instructions with individual or team exercises. Computer-based training by presenting the video clips of driving scenes. During freezes, the trainees were encouraged to project what might happen next, having to answer the questions of what information do I have or do I still need? So what does this information mean in terms of my goals? Now what will happen next? Or what should I be prepared to deal with in the future situation? Virtual environment situation review systems with a behavioral rating tool, a communications rating tool, and a situation awareness query tool that are reviewed in a post-session debriefing. Endsley also emphasizes the importance of contingency planning for forming high levels of situation awareness in many domains. Even before I started to work in security, I had a strong need of safety. I was born in a dictatorship and our family fled to Sweden when I was 2 years old. I lived a couple of years in a small town where racists and neo-Nazis had a strong presence. I also lived in a bigger town where many of our peers ended up in criminal circles. This kept my awareness on high note, more times than might be ideal for a child and adolescent in a civilized country compared to the traumatic experience by living in a conflict zone. That led to my decision not to start drinking for the sake of keeping control. Fear is a strong motivator, and if unchecked, it can impact on our lives in a plethora of ways that might make us lose perfectly good years that we will never get back. If used as intended, as a sign of caution, we can learn to wield it for personal development and as a map for what to prepare for. Here is where situational awareness comes in. By predicting threats or factors that might lead to undesired outcomes, we can adjust our awareness to either intercept the situation or to position us favorably if the prediction is correct. This leverage will give peace of mind due to having contingency plans for certain situations. The specific threats you are facing might be worlds apart from what I have mentioned. There is also the complexity of life making simple solutions unable to solve your specific situation in a satisfactory way. Just know that no matter what we're facing, we need to make a decision about what consequences we are willing to face. Sometimes we need to decide about two negatives and choose the lesser evil. Another threat is that we can be elbow deep in the problem, have tunnel vision, and thus miss a solution that might have us choose a worse way out when necessary. As we are different people with different traits and skills, we need to cater to our circumstance for available solutions or ways to handle a particular situation. Even so, what ends up mattering is our dedication to what means the most to us. By preparing us mentally, we have a better shot at getting our desired ending. Situational awareness is only one of the vast number of tools we can use to create safe spaces. If the threat in your life is of the physical kind, learn to see the signs of it coming. You might want to keep your learning, training, and practice of situational awareness hidden from the threat or perpetrator, as the element of surprise is a strong card to pull for increased success. Another important pointer is that complacency is as much of a threat as being unprepared. If you catch yourself thinking that you have everything figured out, you need to snap out of it, as it is a warning sign. The risk analysis is twofold. Risk and continuity needs to be integrated. Contingencies are only good as long as everything goes accordingly. Practice pattern recognition. Run mental models through imaginary but probable and believable scenarios to get into the habit of mental preparedness. If sitting in the car, imagine a car accident. Do you have the tools necessary to help you out if you survive the crash and need to help another driver in emergency? Emergency exits in public spaces, fire extinguishers, defibrillators, first aid stations, well lit parking spots, certain groups of people, suspicious individuals, cars driving in an unusual pattern, and so on. You want to train your mind to see this with minimal effort. If the person antagonizing you is a relative, maybe a parent, study them closely. What patterns do you see in their behavior? What triggers do they have? Another thing to note is where their limits are. How far are they prepared to go? This needs to be matched with your contingencies. How far are you prepared to go? The better you get to know the threat, the easier it will be to move out of the way in time to not be targeted or place you in safety before you even are on the radar. See if there are items that can be used to cause harm. Move them out of the way or hide them. Be prepared to use them yourself. The proactiveness and use of time for preparations might end up deciding your fate if it comes to who comes out on top. Situational awareness is a skill that will end up paying itself as it is useful in many situations wherever we are. As mental practice, it also keeps us active, and when proficient enough, we can learn to switch it on or off and eventually even have it work automatically, like breathing. Situational awareness works well to start with if you are not sure what to do first. It is a low risk, high gain technique that allows you to decide the intensity when practicing. If anything, you need to find a level where you feel comfortable visiting occasionally to handle either an expected or unforeseen situation. The bigger your toolbox of risk management methods and structure, the easier it is to pivot from the expected path when the conditions change. Flexibility is key, so make sure to give yourself a fighting chance. Don't let others dictate your fate without you fighting fiercely to make yourself heard and respected. Prepare for what could be the fight of your life. The important thing is to use your time wisely to gain leverage for when things go wrong. If you want to support us, you can try out our Almir app. You will find it on either app store. If you want to support us in other ways, you could join our community forum. You could also like and comment on this episode or even subscribe to the channel. That will help us a lot. Take care of yourself and your people. See you in the next episode.